Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're diving into, well, a really fascinating and frankly quite controversial set of source materials.
Yeah, it's all centered around this new book, The Preparation.
Right, co-authored by Maxim Smith, who's Gen Z, his father Matt Smith, Gen X, and their mentor, the investor Doug Casey, a boomer, a real multi-generational thing.
Definitely. And it makes for a unique perspective.
So our mission today, we want to get right to the heart of their argument. They basically tear down the traditional university education path, especially for young men.
They argue it's failing them, but they don't just criticize, they offer an alternative.
Exactly. A
Yeah.
very self-directed path towards competence, confidence, and what they call radical independence.
So if you're feeling maybe the conventional route isn't for you, or if you're looking for a framework, really, for learning outside the system.
Yeah, this deep dive is definitely for you.
And the backstory itself is pretty interesting. You mentioned the authors. Maxim, the son, actively rejected university at 18, called it overpriced, woke, and politicized.
Strong words. And his father, Matt.
He's a self-made entrepreneur. And Doug Casey, well, he's known for international man, a big name in certain circles.
And they actually moved, didn't they, to Uruguay?
They did. Matt and Maxim relocated down there. It wasn't just talk, it was a physical move, a rejection of what they see as a collapsing U.S. system.
Wow. And their working relationship. It's structured like an old Roman model.
That's right, a patron-client partnership.
Mm.
The idea is that Maxim, the client, has to constantly prove himself worthy. It's mentorship, but it's demanding. There's a real commitment involved.
Okay, that really sets the scene for their critique of U.S. universities. And they don't pull any punches, do they?
No, not at all.
So let's unpack that. They flat out call spending 4 years and, what, $250,000 on a diploma a stupid thing to do. Why? What's the core failure?
Well, it seems to come down to two things. The actual value you get and what they see as ideological issues. They do make a distinction, though. They acknowledge STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, math. Those often give you hard skills, things that pay off.
Right, measurable skill.
Exactly. But outside of STEM, they argue that many other degrees, sociology, gender studies, maybe even some broader liberal arts, have approximately zero value in the real world.
Zero value. That's harsh.
It is. And they go further, saying these courses often amount to indoctrination. Now, we have to be clear, we're reporting their claims here. They specifically state that American universities have a heavy-handed Marxist, anti-male, anti-white bias.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely a provocative political take. And what about the networking argument? That college connects you.
They dismiss that too, call it a chimera and delusion.
So even if colleges used to be, as they say, small, serious, and selective...
That time is gone, in their view. They think it's become too big, too focused on churning out students loaded with debt.
So if not college, then what?
Radical self-education, that's their alternative. They argue, look, once you can read, write, and do basic math competently.
Fundamentals.
Right. Once you have those, the whole world of knowledge opens up. You can learn directly from the very best teachers in the world, often online, often for free or very little cost.
And crucially, without the distractions.
Exactly. Without peers who, in their view, might lack seriousness or real-world wisdom, it's about focused, self-directed learning.
This focus on self-direction and character leads straight into their core philosophy, doesn't it? This be, do, have credo.
It sounds simple, almost stoic.
Yeah, but the order is key, right? That's what they emphasize.
Absolutely key, because it completely flips the script on how most people approach life today. The usual path is focus on having. Get the degree, get the job, get the money.
So you can do things, buy stuff, travel.
Then maybe someday you'll be happy or fulfilled.
But they say no, start with be.
Exactly. Being comes first. It's all about building your character, becoming a highly moral, virtuous, competent person, a person of substance.
And the goal isn't external stuff.
No, the goal of being is internal. Serenity, confidence, strength of character, self-actualization. It's about who you are.
Okay. And once you focus on being,
then the doing naturally follows. It's the actions that flow from that solid character. They stress verbs. Thinking, working, creating, traveling. Productive, virtuous actions.
So doing stems from being. And having.
Having the financial independence, the possessions, that's just the byproduct. It comes naturally if you get the first two right.
So focusing on having first is the big mistake.
That's what they argue, yeah. It's fundamentally flawed because having stuff doesn't fix a weak character. True wealth, they say, is being the kind of person who can create value.
So even if you lose everything.
You still have the character and competence to rebuild. That's the real security.
Okay, now let's talk about some of the language they use because it gets pretty intense. The book aims to make a young man competent, educated, valuable, fulfilled, and dangerous. That word, dangerous. Why?
Yeah, that definitely jumps out. It's not about physical aggression, though they do stress physical fitness and bearing.
Wearing.
Yeah, how you carry yourself. Apparently, Matt Smith corrected the reviewer, pointing out all three authors are over 6 feet tall. But the point wasn't just height. It was about projecting competence and presence.
Okay, so dangerous isn't about violence. It's about...
Independence. Autonomy.
Yeah.
A dangerous man, in their view, is independent because he thinks for himself. Critically?
He questions things, even his own beliefs.
Exactly. He assesses information, questions assumptions, and he's resourceful. Ultimately, he's a man who cannot be bought or cajoled into supporting something that goes against his principles.
So he's his own master. Ungovernable, in a sense.
That's the idea. His independence makes him unpredictable to systems that rely on conformity or control.
And this ties into self-mastery. They mention Zen and the art of archery.
Right. It points to this need for, like, a holistic integration of mind and body. True competence isn't just intellectual or physical, it's both, working together seamlessly.
Okay, that sounds great philosophically, but is it practical? Do they offer a concrete plan?
They do. And this is where Maxim's own journey becomes the blueprint, or at least an example blueprint. He set up his self-education using 16 cycles.
16 cycles? What are those?
Each cycle is a period of focused activity, about 2 months long. It's their alternative structure to a 4-year degree.
And what kind of activities? What skills is he learning?
It's a really interesting mix, very customized to him and his goals, especially considering a future that might be, less stable.
Like what?
Things like archery, marksmanship, martial arts, physical skills, but also practical trades, welding, operating heavy equipment, even building a home.
Wow, quite hands-on.
Very. But it's integrated. It's not just collecting random skills.
How so? Give me an example.
Okay, so one cycle involves learning Spanish, but he's doing it while also developing skills to be a farmer, a cowboy, and an entrepreneur in South America.
Ah, so combining language with practical application.
Precisely. And his business plan involves agricultural robotics using drones for farm surveying, fertilizer application. That's a recognized high-growth field.
So he's mixing physical competence, tech skills, language, entrepreneurship.
Exactly. Creating a unique, valuable, and probably quite defensible skill set.
That sounds incredibly ambitious. 16 different areas. Can anyone really master all that?
That's a fair point. And they do include a caveat about what they call romantic ideals.
Meaning?
Well, they mention things like chess, poker, bridge, classic strategy games. And while those are great, they warn that getting truly expert at them takes enormous time.
Time you might not have if you're focused on more practical skills.
Right. Time that might be better spent on more remunerative talents, as they put it. The real message isn't copy Maxim's 16 cycles exactly.
It's make your own blueprint.
Exactly. Use his approach as inspiration, but design your own path based on your own goals and circumstances. Reject prepackaged curriculums.
Okay, that makes sense. But it brings up something interesting about independence. They stress self-reliance, but also heavily emphasize finding a mentor, a patron, in that Roman style. Isn't that a contradiction?
That's a really good question. How do you reconcile radical independence with needing a powerful mentor?
Yeah, aren't you just trading dependency on a university for dependency on a patron?
They'd argue it's a different kind of relationship. They see university dependency as often tied to debt and a system they view as broken.
Okay.
A true patron, in their ideal model, is making an active investment in your potential. The goal is to help you grow beyond needing them, to achieve your own independence.
So it's a launch pad, not a leash.
That's the idea. And while the reviewer whose work we looked at mentions succeeding partly through luck.
Right, he said he didn't have a patron.
Yeah, but the authors argue relying on luck is irrational. You should actively seek out high-quality mentorship or patronage. Don't leave it to chance.
And this connects to their emphasis on your environment, right? Matt Smith's quote.
You are the average of the 5 closest people around you. Yes. Controlling who you spend time with is critical.
Why so critical for independence?
It goes back to desire. They reference the philosopher René Girard.
Girard, okay.
His idea is that humans don't really know what to desire intrinsically. Man is the creature who does not know what to desire, and he turns to others in order to make up his mind. metic desire.
We copy what others want.
Pretty much.
Mm.
So if your closest circle has low standards or bad financial habits or aimless goals, you'll likely absorb those desires unconsciously.
So choose your influences carefully to shape your own desires.
Exactly. Control your environment, control your wants, and that helps control your actions towards independence.
Which seems to lead to their advice about careers, which sounds very anti-corporate.
It definitely is. The advice is blunt. Don't climb someone else's corporate ladder.
Instead.
Build your own ladder. Build something that leads where you want to go. They really push you to stop thinking about just getting a job.
And focus on the bigger picture.
Yeah. Ask the strategic question. What kind of man do you want to become? The career should serve that goal, not the other way around.
That long-term strategic view fits perfectly with their financial advice, especially this idea of time preference.
Yes, lower time preference. This is huge for them. It's a core principle.
Explain that. What is lower time preference?
It just means valuing your future self more than your present self. Prioritizing long-term gain over immediate gratification.
So investing time, money, effort now.
In things that make you stronger, more capable, more independent in 5, 10 years down the line. Resisting the urge for instant rewards.
And the opposite, high time preference, is basically debt. They call debt theft.
Yeah, strong language again. They see debt as the ultimate high time preference act. You're consuming now based on future earnings you haven't made yet.
Stealing from your future self.
That's how they frame it. And they argue it shows a lack of self-discipline and makes you dependent. Linked. You can't be truly independent if you're servicing debt.
So the practical advice is aggressive saving.
Absolutely. Save 10%, 30%, even 50% of your income if you can.
And where do you put those savings?
They advocate for real money, like gold that can't be printed away. Protection against inflation and government action.
What about things like Bitcoin? They mentioned Doug Casey got in early.
They distinguish between investment steady, long-term growth, and speculation, like Bitcoin might be considered.
But speculation isn't necessarily bad.
No, they say rational speculations and intelligent investments can help you get ahead. Casey's Bitcoin move is an example. But they always bring it back.
Back to character.
Always. Even if you get lucky with a speculation, true wealth and stability come from your substance, your competence, who you are, not just what you have.
Okay, this all sounds incredibly demanding. It requires serious, ongoing discipline. How do they suggest you maintain that focus?
They recommend a simple tool. A weekly log.
A journal.
Sort of, but very focused. It serves several purposes.
Yeah.
1, it keeps you accountable to the goals of your current cycle or project. 2, it forces you to practice writing, to articulate your thoughts clearly. 3, it creates a record of your progress.
And 4th?
And maybe most importantly, it's an efficient way to stay in touch with your mentors, patrons, supporters. It shows them you're still working, still worthy of their time and investment. It maintains that accountability loop.
Right. Okay, so wrapping this up, what's the core message for you, the listener, from all this?
I think it's fundamentally a call for radical self-ownership. Take control.
Yeah, Maxim, Matt Smith, Doug Casey are urging you to reject the default path, the expensive, possibly politicized, debt-heavy university route.
And instead, design your own education, your own path to competence. Define success on your terms.
It's a very powerful message of self-control, of customized learning.
It is, and it's undeniably fiercely individualistic. The entire focus is on optimizing the individual, making you the most capable, independent version of yourself.
But the sources do note something missing, don't they?
They do. The reviewer points out that the book doesn't really spend much time on the individual's relationship to society or to family or even the biological imperatives surviving, reproducing, contributing to the community you're part of.
Right. Which leaves us with a really interesting final thought for you to chew on.
Mm-hmm.
The authors themselves felt American society was crumbling, so they left for places like Uruguay to pursue self-reliance. But if the ultimate goal is to be, a highly moral, respected person.
And maybe we add, as the reviewer suggested, being a credit to your society and the parent of a rising generation.
How do you square that? How do you reconcile this intense focus on individual mastery and independence with the potential obligation to, well, build and sustain the society you live in, not just escape it?
That's the tension, isn't it? Individual preparation versus collective responsibility.
Exactly. Something for you to think about as you consider designing your own preparation.